Okay, so I'm talking to Andrew Dubber because he invited me to go to a thing called Music Tech Fest this Friday in London to demonstrate my Perception plugin, which a lot of you will already know about. And I thought that's going to be something that people who read production advice are going to be really interested in. I should do a blog post on it. And then I realized, well, I don't actually know a heck of a lot about Music Tech Fest. And so I thought I would talk to Andrew and get the words straight from him. So, well, first of all, Andrew, if you can just maybe just introduce yourself briefly in case people reading my site haven't come across you before, and just talk a little bit about what you do and then what Music Tech Fest is.
Okay, well, I'm Andrew Dubber. My day job is I'm Professor of Music Industry Innovation at Birmingham City University. I'm a blogger. I write about music online. I write about particularly ideas about music online. And I'm also the director of Music Tech Fest, which started as a festival in London, but has now gone around the world. So we've taken it to Boston, we've taken it to New Zealand, we're doing Paris, Berlin, New York, and onward from there. The idea of Music Tech Fest is that it's a festival of music ideas. So it's not a conference, it's not seminars, it's not any of that sort of thing. It is very much a celebration and a kind of a collaborative, improvisational, performance-based space within which people go, you know, I've invented this machine. It makes these noises. When you press this button, I can make music. Would anybody else like to press these buttons? And so there's a performance element to it. People get on stage with each other. They jam, they improvise, and they talk about their ideas. And it's that kind of space. So it's a very kind of lively festival of ideas type space. Now, alongside that, we also have a 24-hour overnight hack camp where people get challenges and they invent new things. They build new instruments or objects. They do stuff on computers and make new types of software, all that sort of thing. And then we showcase those and present them at the festival as well. So it's everything from ideas about music distribution, ideas about music production, composition, performance, wearable objects, new types of technology, new noises that you haven't heard before, new types of mastering plugins you might not have encountered, all that sort of stuff. So it's everything to do with music, everything to do with where music meets technology, and a kind of an experimental improvisational space that goes, you know, what can we do with all these ideas in the room? But it's academics, it's practitioners, it's industry, it's artists, it's scientists, all coming together to make things together and talk to each other about their ideas, and hopefully kind of use that as a seeding ground for new stuff to come out of.
I mean, it sounds fantastic. I mean, you're a director. Are you also a founder, or where did the idea come from?
No. The founder is a woman called Michaela Magus. It came out of a European project called MIRES, which was the roadmap for music information research. And so it was this big European project. She was the scientific director of it. But all of the stuff that was going on in terms of research and all of the great universities around Europe were doing really interesting stuff with analyzing music or finding new uses for music and all that sort of stuff. It needed to be connected with people who are doing performing and people who are doing, you know, the record companies, you know, all the whole ecosystem of music and technology. And so what she wanted to do was essentially get all these people in a room talking together. And what that sort of the initial idea of that was just putting them in a room became the festival. This is about 3 years ago now. So this will be the third Music Tech Fest in London. I came along to last year's one. And I came along just to say, hello, I'm a man from a university and I do these things, and isn't that interesting? And pretty much like everybody else involved in Music Tech Fest, I came along once and never went home. Because like you say, it not just sounds really fascinating, it's amazing. It's really cool. It's mind blowing. The kind of the ideas that are out there, the kind of community that exists there. I'm the director of Music Tech Fest, not because I founded it, because I'm such a huge fan and it's so exciting to be part of. So bringing together all these great minds in music and technology is such a really cool thing.
Yeah, and so I mean, I've noticed the program is really tightly scheduled. You've got loads of stuff to pack in.
We've got over 80 presenters and performers, and you know, so we've got this kind of dual stage thing going on. It's a bit Jules Holland in that respect. So one person on one side of the stage is talking while the other person is being set up. The moment that person stops, this person starts, and it's that kind of thing. But we have some longer segments with musical performances where people can get up and jam with them and so on. But we've got everything from a brainwave quartet, which is like a string quartet, reading music that is being composed by another quartet of people with these skull caps on their head who are thinking the music that is being performed, like
What, live?
live. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
everything from that through to people sort of talking about their research or people showing their inventions. We've got beatboxers, we've got what you might call ordinary bands, but doing stuff that they've worked with hackers. We've got people who are doing performances with, like I say, wearable instruments. So there's all this kind of, I mean, it's basically a zoo, really kind of crazy mixed up bunch of different things, but it all kind of comes together and makes sense.
And will there be spaces then? I mean, I'm excited to do my presentation and then to watch everything else. But is there going to be any time in between to talk to all of these great people who are there and, kind of just exchange ideas and all that kind of stuff? How does that work?
That's pretty much the whole point of the exercise. So to get all of these people in a room, these ideas are kind of sparking off, but the idea is that they spark up conversations, they start new collaborations. People go, hey, look, I listened to your talk and it was really inspiring, but I think I can solve that problem that you talked about, and let's go and work on this together. And there's actually been quite a lot of that stuff has come out of this. A number of these things in Boston, for instance, there were people who would never have thought to get together or to even make things. We had LJ Rich, who's a presenter on BBC Click. She came along, originally she said, I'll come along and cover Music Tech Fest for BBC Click, won't that be interesting? We said, no. What would be interesting is if you became a hacker and actually got your hands dirty and made something and actually kind of experienced what it was like. And she ended up developing, in fact, she's kind of got the bug, and she's on her 4th or 5th hack now, and she's going to be presenting some of the stuff that she's invented at Music Tech Fest with some of the guys from Boston who were there kind of doing stuff about music therapy, people who are doing stuff about designing new types of musical interfaces, all that kind of stuff. So it's about kind of joining the dots in new ways that you might not have ordinarily thought of and going, but with my idea and your idea together, we could make this amazing thing. That's the whole point. That's really what Music Tech Fest is for. And what happens on the stage is the seed of those ideas.
So it's fantastic. So it's sponsored, right, by RS Electronics, and who else is sponsoring it?
RS Components are sponsoring the Hack Camp. And so what they've done is the Hack Camp is a sort of, it's attached, and there's kind of mobility between the two. In fact, there's a lot of mobility between the two, but it's kind of off to one side a little bit so that people can get on over this 24 hours and make things and invent things. And they've provided us with just amazing amounts of componentry and sensors and Arduinos and Raspberry Pis and all those kinds of things so that people can make stuff. And we're very much about hacks that are not just about kind of messing with the API of, SoundCloud or whatever, but actually making physical objects that people can perform with, getting people away from the screen and making things. So there's a video. I'll send you a link to this video of the hack camp that we did in Boston. And you'll see people with paper plates attached to bass guitars with components sticking out of them, and they are live remixing what they're playing and all that kind of stuff. Somebody with a fire staff that twirls, but that controls a DJ software thing. It's like, it's madness, but it's a lot of fun. But it's very much about kind of physical objects. So RS Components are basically, they own that space. That's their thing. And we're so delighted to have them because they're exactly the right people, because they've got the psychology of it. They understand hackers, and actually our lead hacker, Adam John Williams, who sort of won the hack challenges at the first 2 Music Tech Fests. So we said, you're not allowed to do that anymore. You have to come and be the guy who runs the hack camps. So we took him to Boston, we took him to New Zealand, and he's running the hack camp in London. But he's now hacker in residence at RS Components. So he's kind of making things and inventing things with them, and he's going to be kind of coaching people through that. And I'll give you the link to the sign up to the hack camp if people want to get involved in that. But we have other sponsors who've come on board who are sponsoring either hack challenges. We've got Beggars Group, for instance, MTV. We're working with F Expansion and SoundLab, and these people who've said, how about this idea, and what happens if people kind of think about this in a new way? What can you invent? And that's kind of a large part of our sponsorship. We've got lots of partners. We're working with Sound and Music. We're working with the LSO itself. And all of these people have come together and sort of helped us out. But it's so incredibly shoestring, you have no idea, to kind of make all these things happen and bring all these like 80 odd people together, plus the 40 hackers, plus we've got the kids hack going on a Sunday. And so, there's so much going on that, yeah.
I mean, that's what I was thinking, is it sounds like a great idea and it sounds fantastic. And then you think, well, how is it going to happen? But because it's in the LSO hall, is that right?
Yeah, LSO St Luke's, which is the kind of the home of the London Symphony Orchestra. So this beautiful Hawksmoor Church in Old Street. So that puts it right in the heart of Silicon Roundabouts. It's right in the sort of the London tech city. But it is. I mean, it's the symphony orchestra of Harry Potter and Star Wars and those guys. So it has this particular. Almost kind of beautiful, austere, and open brick environment. This old church building, but we're bringing the tech.
And what's interesting to me, because I had a slightly not controversial, but I was going to tease you a bit by saying, I mean, there's a lot of people who would say that actually what music needs right now is less tech, not more. But you kind of answered that question from what you were saying at the beginning, but that it's about performance and conversations, because I mean, I'm guessing from what I know of you that it's all about what tech enables, right? It's the tech is kind of secondary to the music.
I'd even go further than that. I would say that they're inseparable. There is no music without technology. I mean, a piece of animal skin stretched across a log is technology. Technology is tools that people make in order to do things, and so. And music is a way of expression. It's people communicating with each other. And there's this idea that technology is just anything with buttons, or technology is anything digital, or technology. It's nonsense. It's all technology. Everything that music is technology. So it's about thinking about new ways, or, we're kind of most interested in, what other sounds can we invent, or how else can we express musicality, or how else can people perform? What haven't we thought of yet? Is kind of the thing that pushes this along a little bit. But by the same token, like I said, there are drums, bass, guitar, and vocals bands going to be at Music Tech Fest, just as there are people playing things that you've never seen before in your life. So it's all technology as far as we're concerned. Everything from a bone flute to an MPC is technology, and that's kind of what we're celebrating, really.
Absolutely. No, that's really cool. So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
5th, 6th, and 7th.
Yep. And are there still tickets available? Can people still get tickets?
Well, hopefully, at the moment that we're recording this, yes, absolutely. Hopefully, by the time you put this up, there will be some left. We're very strict on numbers. So we're kind of restricted on numbers because the LSO St Luke's has a limited capacity, and of course, health and safety, fire regulations. You can't go above that. It's a certain number of people in the building. That includes all of the hackers, all of the presenters, all of the staff. So there is space there, and I encourage people to certainly come along. I'll give you the link to the full program so that people can see the Friday, Saturday, the Sunday, what's going to happen. It is cheaper if you buy all three. You can, put them all in your basket and you get a full weekend pass. But it's not like those. There's a lot of music technology conferences and stuff that are like hundreds and hundreds of pounds. We're £20, and because we want people to kind of feel like that's. The curiosity will get the better of them. They'll come along and see it, but also that students can come along, people kind of getting into the music technology world, and they can kind of rub shoulders with people who, like yourself, you've got a lot of experience and you can kind of give them advice. So it's that kind of community feel, I guess, about it.
Yeah, brilliant. So 2 little questions to finish off. What's your favourite thing in recent years that you saw, your favourite presentation, and what are you most looking forward to seeing this weekend? Apart from my plugin, clearly.
Well, of course, that was going to be my answer. My favourite thing, it depends on what time of day, let alone what day you ask me. But the one that popped into my head in Boston, there's a guy called Norbert Schnell who works at IRCAM in Paris. And IRCAM is this kind of research centre for music and technology. And he brought along some colourful, soft balls. And these balls had these sensors in them that could measure 3 axes of movement and 3 axes of rotation. And those were wirelessly connected to music-making devices. And then he threw them into the audience. And as the audience caught them or passed them or moved them around, they made music. So that the audience was all involved in this process of making music collaboratively, as a game, as a kind of a performance piece. But what was really interesting, the thing that I liked most about it, was the fact that they didn't operate the way that you would imagine that they necessarily would. Like, for instance, there was one that if you threw it to somebody, it would just make the most horrific sound. But if you passed it very, very gently, it was this beautiful kind of tinkling, cascading noise. So it actually was, the music was feeding back into how people behaved and how they expressed that musicality in this. I love that idea of of kind of new interfaces for music that we wouldn't necessarily have thought of, new kind of modes of behavior that create music types. One of the things I'm really looking forward to, and if I, and I'm only thinking of this because I've just sent the guy an email, so this is kind of really fresh in my mind, is Eduardo Miranda's Brainwave Quartet, which I mentioned earlier, is this idea with the skull caps and the music sort of live from people's brains, which just blows my mind.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely.
So, but the other thing, actually, quite quickly after that, on the Saturday morning, there is the IAMUS project. We're sort of unveiling that, which is a computer that composes music without the aid of human intervention. And I don't know if you saw, it was about a year ago, one of the first experiments from the IAMUS project, which is a Spanish-led research project, and the guy's coming over from Malaga to present it. But they composed a piece that was performed by members of the London Symphony Orchestra, and it was released as a CD, but it was sent out to reviewers blind. So they didn't know much about it other than here is a piece of music performed by, the LSO. And they listened to it, and it was very, very well received and well reviewed. And then it was kind of revealed that actually a computer had written that music. And then, of course, it became this big kind of discussion of, can that happen? Is there such a thing as computers composing music, and so on? And I really like the play with ideas that comes out of that. And it's almost more interesting than finding the answer to that, is that conversation. Is that something that we can delegate to computers? And from the point of view of kind of contemporary classical music, it seems like the answer might be yes, which is interesting.
Yeah, well, that reminds me of two things. I mean, it's kind of a musical Turing machine, right? A Turing test. Where is this a sentient computer or not? Only if it can fool somebody into thinking it's a real person. And this would only, but I can't remember the other thing it reminded me of. Never mind.
But that's the thing. It's like your brain will fire off in all these directions the moment you get there, because everything is that interesting. And that's the thing I'm really excited about Music Tech Fest. But it's also this kind of really experimental space where people just get up on stage and go, I'm going to try something and let's see if this works. And it always does, and it's always way better than you think it's going to be. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I really hope some of your blog readers come along to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it. It's just a shame I'm only going to be there on Friday. I can't make the rest of the weekend, unfortunately.
Well, the good news is we're filming it and we're streaming it online. So you will get to see as much of it as you want.
Excellent. Oh, well, I'll be tuning in for sure. Well, listen, thanks again for the invite. I can't wait to do it. I've got to figure out how to turn this mind map I have into something that will fit into the time allotted to me. But yeah, well, and I know how busy you are sorting it out. So thanks for taking the time. And yeah, I'll see you on Friday.
Thanks, Ian. Appreciate it.